You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast, exposing the struggles and celebrating the successes in the life of coaches who are action takers and creating authentic impact in today's world. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your reach, or exploding your impact, you're in the right place right now. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Now, here are your hosts of the Coach's Journey podcast.
Hello. I am coming in here towards you alone today. No Dr. Sherry, no guests, and I wanted to make sure I added value. So I have a topic prepared for you. First of all, you're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast. Usually I have my co-host, Dr. Sherry, but she had other important things that she needed to attend. In fact, she might be on a plane right now as we're talking. So what I wanted to do was talk about a very key area of coaching, a key aspect of coaching, which is a coaching business that most coaches ignore. I did too, so it's not to penalize any coaches. I did that for the first couple of years of my coaching business. And I wanted to highlight some of the lessons that I've learned and how I've improved in that area. But before that, this podcast is sponsored by Coaching Mastery Community. It's an incredible community of coaches. I'm a part of it, and so many other members that are part of it, where we support each other to skill up in terms of our coaching skill set, but also in terms of our coaching business, our business skill set, our business mastery, within a very powerful and supportive community where we share our resources, thoughts, perspectives, we give each other feedback, and we also bring in all sorts of trainings to help you move your coaching business forward to increase your impact. And so you're able to serve people in the world based on the thing that you love the most, which is coaching, I'm guessing. So speaking of business mastery, this video, I wanted to do it around that. And one of the things that I've learned, let me just turn this off. One of the things that I've learned when it comes to many coaches from so many different modalities that I've been connected to, and I've been doing this since 2015. I've had the privilege to talk to so many coaches from different modalities, from transformational coaches to conscious parenting coaches, peak performance coaches, high performance coaches, relationship coaches, all sorts of coaches who are doing incredible work in the world and who are actually serving at a greater level. And almost all of them have run into the same challenge. And especially as a new coach who starts out either on their own or they get a certification, for the most part, what it looks like is in the beginning, they're just trying to figure out, well, how are they going to serve? Even though they have a training, they've gone through a training. It also, let me just close this window. Sorry, I forgot to do that. They've gone through a training, or maybe that's you've gone through a training, but then you're trying to figure out, well, how am I going to get clients? And this is where Rich Lippin, one of my favorite coaches, who would say that you become a covert coach because it can be scary. It can be painful to put yourself out there and share to people that, hey, I'm a coach. So we don't, and that's the beginning part of it, but most coaches in the beginning part of their career, they don't treat it like a business, especially if you're trying to build a business. And this is something you need to clarify for yourself, and every coach needs to do it, because you're either a coach who wants to do this full time, as you start this, or you're a coach who wants to do this part-time and has another engagement. Maybe you have a different business or a job that you want to continue because you like it, you're passionate about it, or maybe you're in a transition period where you just want to work part-time until this picks up, or you want to work full-time, or you want to pick coaching as a part of the work that you do. And that's the third category, where you're using coaching as a supplement within your team to help coach your team forward. But if you are somebody who's specifically in those two categories of wanting to build your coaching business full-time or part-time, then it becomes essential to understand how business works. And this is the part that we ignore. And because a lot of coaches who are passionate about this work, they're passionate about going their own growth, about supporting others, to helping others grow to the next level, they might be averse to some things when it comes to business, or maybe it's in their thinking process that, hey, I want to serve people, but I don't want to sell. As if there's a distinction between serving and selling. And the reason why we think a lot of that is because of the way, based on our own experiences, a lot of times, the kind of salespeople that we've come across in the past, or the history of sales. But as Daniel Pink in his book, To Sell is Human, I believe that's what it is, he highlights is that sales has changed, and it's actually, when you look at the basics of sales, it's actually coaching. There's no difference between sales and coaching. And there are some specific things that you need to be aware of when it comes to sales, but it's essentially the same thing. So why am I sharing sales? Because sales is one of the key components of coaching. Of a coaching business, or business in general. If you don't have consistent sales happening or conversations happening, then it's likely that your coaching business is going nowhere, which means that you're actually measuring those conversations, or you actually having those conversations, or you prospecting, or you actively looking for clients, whether that's through posting in the online world, or reaching out to organizations, or reaching out to individuals, or putting out your content in all sorts of different places and attracting clients. However that looks like, are you doing those activities that lead potential clients towards conversations with you? And why is that important? It's important because coaching is one of those things that it's an experiential process. Most people have no concept of coaching. And if they're thinking of coaching, for the most part, they might think that, oh, you're going to train them or help them understand something. But from what I understand, coaching is a much deeper process, experiential process, to go deeper, whether you're a conscious parent, or a parenting coach, or a high performance coach, or a peak performance coach. You're helping them pull out their own wisdom. Yes, there are teaching points, there are perspectives shared, there are challenges delivered, but a huge part of that is helping people through that process. And because people, unless they have gone through a coaching process, most people won't have a concept of it. That's why we need to take them through an experience, which is a conversation, usually, of coaching, where we help them see what coaching is, and then we make our offer to serve them. So if those conversations are not being had on a regular basis, more than likely your business is not doing well. And especially if you're a coach who's starting out, and I was in that place where we're dealing with all sorts of stuff. First of all, we're trying to figure out to improve our skill sets. And we're trying to figure out how we can add more value to our clients. But in the meantime, we're trying to figure out, well, how can I sustain this business? And it's important, because if I can't sustain the business, I won't be able to do this, because then I have to find something else to do that will help me generate that income. So if you want to do this consistently, full-time or part-time, then it becomes essential to start thinking about, where are these clients consistently coming from? Do I have a process? Do I have a system? Do I have a way of generating that? And if I don't, then I need to find out what that is. And part of that is educating yourself in the process. A couple of books I can share is The Psychology of Sales or Selling by Brian Tracy, or To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink, as I mentioned. You can start with that, but if you definitely need to educate yourself more and more on the sales process. One of the things that we do in our community, the Coaching Mastery communities, go very deep in it. In fact, one of the challenges that we have right now is we're doing a 90-day 5-figure challenge, which is not necessarily about sales, bringing as many clients as possible. It's more about developing the habit to consistently connect with potential clients and adding value, and make it, and for those conversation to potentially lead towards a sale, which means that you are in a position to serve somebody, and in the process be able to sustain your business. So that's one of the key components of your coaching business, is sales. And then the other side of it is marketing. How are you prospecting? How are you looking for these clients? Where are they hanging out? How are you setting up your messaging? How are you connecting with your clients? How's the copy on your website? What are you communicating when you're on a video or on a post in terms of what you do? Do you explicitly share that this is what you do? Are you consistently adding value through your newsletter, through your posts on social media, or through your engagement within communities, or to all sorts of other places? There's so many different ways of engaging with people, but at the end of the day, it comes down to, are you engaging with people and adding value? So that can lead to conversations, and that's essentially the marketing part. A lot of times we don't need a complicated marketing process. I suck at complicated marketing process. I still have a 6-figure coaching business, because essentially what I've learned is that all marketing is that you get in front of people, add value, and offer them to come to a specific conversation or offer your program. For me, what it has looked like is go to different communities and add value, whether it be on a meetup or in a book club or in a speaking engagement or in a webinar, and you make an offer, which could be your program. I have a group coaching community, so I offer that a lot of times. Or when I didn't have it, I would offer a conversation, a 90-minute or 60-minute conversation where they would get a chance to see what the coaching process is. And when I say add value, either teaching something or walking them through a general coaching process, or you're training them on something specific related to growth in that specific area. So if you're not doing the marketing and sales, more than likely you'll sitting there scratching your head and trying to figure out, well, how the hell is this business picking up? And then all of a sudden you have all these people coming up to you like, I have a 7-step process to make you $1 million or 7-figure or 8-figure or whatever. I would be very, very careful signing up for anything like that, because there's a lot that goes into building a business. It's not just a 7-step process. There's a lot in it. First of all, you need to consistently focus on building your skill sets up. It means understanding how you can add value to clients in your coaching process, but also as a trainer, as a coach, you need to do that too. Which means that you need feedback for your process. So who is giving you feedback in there? Do you have a community of coaches that are doing that? And also on the other side is you need to consistently get feedback on your efforts towards gaining new clients on a consistent basis. Who's giving you that feedback? Any kind of model will help you learn something, but then we need live feedback to help us go forward. And one of the reasons for that is that most coaches, when they're beginning, they have no frame of reference. You don't know what's working and what's not. So what you will do is jump from one thing to the next thing to the next thing without actually knowing that that thing is working or not. And the way we know that thing is working is, one, that if you do something long enough, it'll give you some kind of result. But when you're in the process, you need other people who are doing similar things to give you feedback. This is where a community comes in. This is where experts come in. So where people who can give you feedback in your process. Hey, this thing that you're doing, it's not working very well. And one of the things that we do in our community as well is that, let's say you're doing a webinar, you would, or a live coaching session in a group setting through Zoom. You do that and we give you feedback. Hey, this is what worked. That's what didn't work. This is where you hesitated. So as professionals, we can give you feedback there. And whether you join our community or any other place, you need to consistently be connected to other coaches and professionals who are doing similar things. And this is common sense in almost every industry, but it's not in the coaching world, or more likely it's not common practice. Common sense is not always common practice, as Brendan Burchard would say. So, and this is really important, and there are some key areas to understand. One is that to not be a covert coach. If you're a coach, put it out there. Put it on your social media, on your LinkedIn, Facebook, share it with people, no matter how scary it might seem. It starts with that, because we start to share who we are, or that identity that we have around coaching. We start to attract the right people, even if your messaging is not clear. And then starting to become clear about how do you help people. thinking about niche, thinking about how exactly are you helping people, getting better and better at marketing that message, getting better at delivering value or content or training or workshops. And then out of that, making offers for people to come into conversations or buying your program. And so that's the marketing and sales part. So these three components need to be met. Go out, put yourself out there, start developing a process around marketing. It doesn't have to be a complicated process. It's just a matter of getting in front of people and making offers for conversations or your products. If you're in the initial stages, more than likely it's conversations. And then actually having a process to take people through those conversations. And the last part is measuring this whole process. How many conversations are you having in a week? Or how many hours are you spending prospecting, or creating activities that will generate those conversations that we're talking about, or those offers that we're talking about that you can share with people. And the way to measure that, you can do it on a simple Excel sheet. You can also do it on your calendar. So for example, on my calendar, I have to have a few, and I usually mark that as green on a color coded. So when I look at my weekly calendar, I usually have a few green block times. And those are conversations. And then I have yellow, which means prospecting, something related. I'm either creating something, or I'm reaching out to somebody, or I'm doing something that will help me generate more clients on a consistent basis. Now, I've been doing this for a while, so I don't need to do a lot of prospecting, because there are usually people reaching out to me. But if I want to amplify it to next level, I do need to do that. So I hope this was helpful. And if you had any comments, any thoughts, any questions, please share it below. And I just want to stress one thing, is that there's so many heart-centered individuals, coaches who want to serve, but then the thing that holds them back is that they don't actually have a process to connect with their clients. And it's not complicated. The process is pretty simple. Business is business. But what we need more and more is feedback from other people who are doing the same thing, and people who actually care for our growth. That's where you need a community, whether you join Coaching Mastery community with us, or you join another community, or you go through a process where you're getting feedback from other professionals who are doing the same things as you. Then it's an uphill battle, because a lot of times what happens is we get inside our head and we're like, oh, that's not working. This is not working. When in fact, that thing was probably working. You just didn't stick with it long enough, and you didn't tweak it enough for it to work. So I hope you take this to heart. If you're going to start with anything, promote yourself as a coach, and then slowly start to find better ways of reaching out to or adding value to your potential clients, so you can get more clients. Aside from that, once again, please share this with any coach that needs to hear this. And I hope this was valuable to you. Like this, please watch this on Facebook, YouTube, or listen to this on podcast. I appreciate that. And until our next conversation, hope you have an incredible day. Bye.
You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast.